Who uses it? So it's used in the public sector and in government agencies. It's used by all kinds of nonprofits, everything from museums and charities to environmental orgs or, social justice organizations. It's used very broadly. And it's used in business and industry, extensively in business and industry. So why don't we go to our next slide? So I'm just going to show you a few examples of where it's used in, say, the public sector. So we use it in urban planning when we're doing things like zoning and redistricting. The maps that are drawn for elections all use GIS, and you've heard of a thing called gerrymandering. In the old days, that was laborious. Well, now it's very actually easy to to gerrymander, and in Michigan, we passed a law that said redistricting now has to be done by a committee because we don't want the political parties in control of redistricting anymore, because it's so easy to draw maps that allow you to win elections when you actually don't win the vote, or to break up populations in a way that allow one group or the other group to benefit from it in an unfair advantage. So GIS can be used both for good and for bad, and like many technologies. And in this case, we're hoping that we can use it for good and find really good districts that are fair. But it's used, again, for public transportation, for routing buses, trains, knowing where everything is at any time, for building public works, roads and highways are, use GIS extensively. It's used in national parks and wilderness to manage their resources, and other wildlife and natural resources. The Department of Natural Resources and Department of Environmental Quality use these tools extensively. Defense, a lot of GIS development was done initially for defense. The military uses GIS. They almost couldn't survive without it. Emergency management, fire and rescue, public safety, all use GIS very extensively. It's all of this map-based stuff. The little map on the right is just showing changes in population trends. The legend isn't on there, but it actually is a map. There's all kinds of information embedded within that map. If you click on it, the real map, it would show you how population has changed, grown, or gone down over time in these areas. So next slide, please. Federal, state, and local agencies use it. NASA, NOAA, the United States Geological Survey, the Environmental Protection Agency, Army Corps, the list is long. State agencies use it, and local government agencies use it in their zoning and planning offices and their public works departments. So, there's no shortage of places to find people using it. Nonprofit and NGOs use it. So the example on the right is a crisis response map that was done using a thing called OpenStreetMap during the Ebola crisis. And in Africa, when that crisis erupted in 2014, one of the things that the aid agencies going in realized was that they didn't have maps on the ground of these rural areas in Africa. And they didn't know where people were going, and people were afraid of the doctors. And so they were running back to their villages and back to their very small communities and hiding. And so they asked people to go online and use aerial imagery and actually draw all the locations of houses they saw in the imagery on these maps, so that the doctors on the ground could find the people in the villages and try to help them. So, and it's that kind of thing is available now with GIS. You can do that in real time. So, again, there are other agencies or other types of NGOs listed there.